Welcome to Eye on Paulsboro. Your eyes are not deceiving you. This is a new program. It's taken us a little bit longer than usual to kick off the season because, frankly, we're recording. It's almost the end of October, but schedules have been very difficult particularly between Fred and myself. But we're back, and we're here. And Fred tells us this is the beginning of our 29th season, which I find hard to believe. Irma?
John, we celebrated my 50th birthday here. Walter came in right in the studio, came in with balloons and flowers. That's the last time I ever got flowers from him.
Well, first of all, I just can't believe that much time has passed. We have an interesting show to kick off this season. A couple of significant anniversaries in town: Paulsboro High School 100 years, Paulsboro Refinery 100 years, and also a very close friend of myself and Irma in this show, Abbie Kidd, celebrating 50 years. Listen to all these years I'm mentioning, service to the Elks Club. We're going to visit with everybody, going to have a lot of footage, so stay with us, and we'll be right back. This show comes to you from historic Hill Theater Studio on Broad Street. We'll be right back.
Multi-policy discount, paperless discount, paid in full discount, homeowners discount, safe driver discount, chipmunk family reunion, someone stole the nuts, squirrel jail, justice.
Countless discounts. Now that's progressive. Call or click today.
Thinking about a new appliance or an LCD TV? Don't think twice, think Weiss. Weiss True Value has a full line of LCD TVs plus a great variety of appliances. And of course, hardware items like TrueTest paints, Master Mechanic tools, electrical supplies, key duplicating, and Rug Doctor rentals. And for repairs on screens and windows, look no further. Weiss True Value, from making keys to selling appliances and LCD TVs. Don't think twice, think Weiss. 39 West Broad Street, Paulsboro.
For everything, there's a season, and a time for everything under heaven. A time for sharing, a time for caring, a time for remembering, and a time for parting. When that time arrives, let Beth McBride Foley and Thomas D. Foley at the McBride Foley Funeral Home help you in your time of need. Offering a wide variety of funeral services from cremation to traditional, McBride Foley Funeral Home has been helping families with the loss of a loved one with over 50 years of combined service. McBride Foley Funeral Home, 228 West Broad Street, Paulsboro.
And welcome back. As I mentioned to you, we're coming to you from the lobby here at Hill Theater Studio on Broad Street in Paulsboro, kicking off our 29th year, which has just absolutely thrown me for a loop that it can be that many years. Irma never ages, as you've noticed when we opened the show. With me now is Steve Krinsky. Correct, Steve? I did very well. Plant manager, Paulsboro Refining, and Christy Moore, who handles the community relations and works with the various community groups. The refinery is celebrating a significant milestone, 100 years at this location in business. Now think about that, folks, and think about what isn't here anymore compared to the fact that the refinery has been here for 100 years. I mean, think of it. General Motors doesn't make cars in Delaware any longer, nor does Ford make cars in New Jersey, just to give you two large groups. And in fact, the Sunoco refinery is gone, and what was the asphalt refinery is in a state of flux at the moment. But not to dwell on that, we're going to talk about the fact that 100 years and what it's meant for generations of employees. Steve, we'll start with you. 100 years of refining. I mean, the base refining business somewhat the same, but now very complicated.
That is true. They originally purchased a refinery back in 1916 and that was vacuum oil with the intent of making it a lube oil refinery. And it was 1 year later that they were up and running in production, which is 1917, which is we just celebrated our 100 years of being up in operation. I guess the interesting part of that is they bought it from Andrew Mellon back in 1916 for $3 million. Andrew Mellon had actually bought that piece of property, roughly 750 acres, 10 years before that for $500,000. And Andrew Mellon, his intent was to make a steel plant out of it. So you were bound and determined to have some kind of a plant sitting there on the side of the river. And then they ran under vacuum oil for quite a few years, for almost 50 years, and changed names quite a few times over that time. First becoming Saucony Vacuum, then becoming then it became Saucony Mobile, and then just Mobil Oil. Then in 1998, Mobil went and sold the refinery to Valero. And subsequently, 1 year later, Exxon bought Mobil out, so then that became Exxon Mobil. And Valero continued to operate until 2010, at what point they sold it to PBF Energy. and we've been PBF Energy now for 7 years.
And frankly, it seems like it's been a good run when you talk about the most recent. I remember my grandfather, speaking of working, and the old guys referred to it as the vacuum. After it was Saucony vacuum, after it was mobile, it was always the vacuum.
That's correct.
It's not the vacuum anymore.
It is not the vacuum anymore.
Now, as big a company, as big as an operation as it is, the refinery shared its 100th anniversary and continues to share it with the community at large, both Paulsboro, Gibbstown, East Greenwich, West Deptford, all the places that have touched. Number of events have occurred through the year. Now, we have footage, we have odds and ends, so Christy's going to give us a little bit of that so you can catch up on how this 100th anniversary has gone, because this very big company became very personal in its relationship with this community and the surrounding communities, and extended their 100th year celebration out to the neighborhood. So, Christy, why don't you pick it up, because I recall you starting one of the early celebrations was a wonderful luncheon.
We did. We had a retiree luncheon back in May. We had more than 200 retirees attend a luncheon at the ExxonMobil Technical Center. You're very gracious to join us. We certainly appreciate that.
The buffet was good.
We did feed everyone. We had a fun game that talked a lot about the history. It was a quiz show.
I didn't stay for the game.
The history of the refinery and we had actually the submissions, the questions came in from employees, and so they were able to share with us, some of the things that they remembered best. And then following that, we went to Nino's, and we had invited folks who were working that day to come back and join those colleagues that they had while they were there and didn't have an opportunity to attend the retiree lunch. They got together and they were able to have a good time and fellowship at Nino's. So that was in May. Then in June, we dedicated.
Before you go there, because at the luncheon, there was a couple of things that stood out, I thought. The fact that generations came back and fell right into places if they were supposed to be there. There was just a nice feel in that room. And I say that personally because my father worked there, grandparents, and so many people have ties there. But that day, it was like a very large class reunion.
I was just going to say, Irma was talking about the class reunions that occurred over the weekend. It was very much like a class reunion. People were sharing memories, and they spend a lot of time there. We have people who've worked there and currently are working there 40 plus years. I mean, that's a really long time to spend at one single location. And so having the ability to bring those folks back in and talk with their colleagues, it was a very special day.
It was wonderful, and it was a very large cake at Nino's. It was good. So we moved from there. Luncheon was a huge success, I might add, and so consider this: the celebration started at luncheon and went quite into the early evening. Now pick up from there.
So in June, we dedicated a time capsule. The time capsule was actually fabricated on site. Our machine shop was able to put together this amazing stainless steel time capsule. And in that time capsule are mementos, personal mementos. People donated from their families, from the time they've spent there, and it spanned generations, different companies, different names. All of that, the contents were put in the time capsule, and we used a very large crane because it was a couple 100 pounds empty. We purged it with nitrogen so that when we bring it back out in 25 years, all of the materials inside will be the same. We buried the time capsule in front of our DCS building, the Digital Control Center, thank you, which is a main location within the refinery. So when people go past, they'll be able to see that as they're heading into work. So we did that in June. Then in September was our crowning moment when we were able to share our accomplishments with the community. We had a very large celebration. It was on Paulsboro Day, so we're very thankful to have that as our backdrop. Paulsboro Day has been such a success for this community. We were able to then partner with the Paulsboro Day Committee and present something that was incredible to the community. We had about 1,000 people from Gibbstown, Paulsboro, and our own employees there.
It was a spectacular day. I actually missed Paulsboro Day because of my schedule that day, but we have wonderful footage as you're talking to put underneath. Amy shot a ton of footage, and the reception, the reaction of people to that day really carried well, I thought. And that's just a touch of the 100 years because there will be more coming. But let me add this. The refinery, in one form or another, has been a neighbor for so many years and, frankly, has identified all of us to some extent. Generations had worked there. We watched it go from those old enough, from Saucony Mobile to Mobile, as Steve said, on to Valero, and now on to Paulsboro Refining and the O'Malley brothers. And we are grateful they're there. They're always responsive, and they're always at call when we need help and participate in so many events. So to our neighbors at the Paulsboro Refining operation, a happy 100th anniversary, and we'll be right back.
Life is a journey that we travel with a lot of uncertainty. When your family is faced with change and you're in need of understanding, direction, honesty, and professionalism, we at the Landolfi Funeral Home have a tradition of assisting you with all of your needs in any way that we can. We offer many affordable funeral services. Please feel free to call us with any questions you may have or visit us at www.landolfifuneralhome.com.
Rizzo Family Chiropractic Center in Gibbstown offers pain relief with a difference. Using specific chiropractic adjustments, Rizzo Family Chiropractic will get to the root of your problem quickly. Bring your headaches, neck, back, joint, or limb pain to Dr. Karen Rizzo. If you have recurring pain, chiropractic can help. Rizzo Family Chiropractic can relieve many sources of pain without extended treatment and ongoing therapy. Give your family the gift of caring professional pain relief with a difference. Rizzo Family Chiropractic.
Come on down Route 55 to the Millville Airport. Visit Smith & Jackson Military Antiques and Firearms, a gun shop with a woman's touch. Buying, selling, and trading firearms and military items, especially seeking World War II, German, Japanese, and American items. Buying single items or entire collections. That's Smith & Jackson Military Antiques and Firearms at the Millville Airport, 21 Peterson Street, next to the Glasstown Brewing Company.
And welcome back. We have so much to catch up on. We're not going to be able to do it on this first show. We'll slowly metering things in because of the help of Fred and Amy, Judy McKenzie. We've got a lot of footage, Mark Camp. So over these next couple of shows, we'll start to catch up. We wanted to take a moment, make sure we covered this portion because joining me now is Abbie Kidd. Many of you who live in town or Gibbstown know her because she's just been so very active. She served as a state president for a number of years of the Daughters of the Elk. I always get between the men and the daughters, the official names. So Abbie, and you were hosted at a beautiful luncheon on a Sunday for celebrating 50 years of service to the Elks organization. First of all, I can't believe you must have been like in 8th grade when you started, but 50 years is a good piece of time.
A little bit younger than that. A little bit younger.
Thank you. Now I feel much better. But 50 years is a good. That's a really significant contribution.
It really is, and when you look back over time. I have to tell this story because I laugh at it every time. A friend of mine was getting ready to join the Elks, Joan Goldman, and she says, I want you to join, and I said, I can't be bothered. She paid the application fee, turned it over to me, filled it out, and said, you're coming in with me. And so here I am over the years, and she's just a daughter. It's that you look at it, somebody who put you in there and you're up, and she's content though, because she said she couldn't be bothered.
Well, you've always been surrounded by just a good core of dedicated ladies. I mean, the men have their own operation,
yes.
but your group, Janet Bird and others, they've been loyal through the years. I mean, they're just dedicated to the good work of the Elks.
Yes, we are. And it's like anything, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but it's the truth. If it wasn't for us women, a lot wouldn't continue, and that's the bottom line.
Oh no, you don't have to tell me. No, I'm very grateful for the women in my life.
Yeah.
They can be a bit chatty at times, but I'm very great nonetheless.
Yeah.
Let those who are watching get a sense of the offices you've held through the years, because you serve statewide, but you have come up through the chairs.
Coming up through the ranks, we start off with the temple. So I've served every seat there up until daughter ruler. Then we have the district, and I've served every seat going up to the loyal daughter ruler. And then at the state, now that was a hard one. It took me 33 years to get to the top on that one because I started at the gate, which is outside the door, to go up. And so, with everybody staying in and with everything being done, after 33 years, I became state president. And I held that seat for 10 years. And then it's like anything, you've accomplished what you wanted. And so I gladly gave it up with no problem.
I remember 4th of July parade as your group sang to you, as you led the group down the street, and you were present that year. And there was a time that the Paulsboro operation, both the men's and ladies' side, if I'm not mistaken, you were the president and the male leader was out of the Paulsboro Lodge.
And that was Cornelius Kidd. And he was my cousin by marriage, but you couldn't have, people wouldn't believe that. Oh, your husband, that's what they kept saying, your husband.
Vino wasn't that lucky.
But we served together. In fact, I had 3 husbands in my 10 years. I had 4 years with Bino. I had 3 years with the first one. Bino was the second, and the last one before I came out, 3 years with him. Yeah.
President, 3 years of president. You said 3 years. I thought you said 3 husbands.
It was. Fraternal husbands.
It's really.
We're considered fraternal husbands.
How about that? I just completely threw me. I said, as she's saying, I said, Abbie couldn't have been that busy. Running that operation that busy. Yes.
But the nice thing about that too is nobody wants to hear anything you're doing, but they made it their business to peep in my whole card, and a lot of it kind of went over to the men's side, So it helped. It was a husband and wife relationship, really.
It's a wonderful organization, and the local group, by the way, with the senior breakfast, the Santa with kids, they're always involved somewhere. And Abbie and her group are really the driving force. Now the men may take issue with that when I have them on the show later, but I'm telling you, as she said, the ladies of that organization have been just simply strong over the years. Abbie, we thank you very much. Congratulations on 50 years. It was a nice afternoon, by the way.
Oh, it was really nice. It was
nice.
And then the crowning was I was Volunteer of the Year at the homecoming parade. So, that was really fantastic.
Well earned, by the way. Well earned. We'll be right back. We visited with Abbie Kidd, celebrating 50 years of community service to the Elks organization. We'll be right back.
Multi-policy discount. Paperless discount. Paid in full discount. Homeowners discount, safe driver discount, chipmunk family reunion, someone stole the nuts, squirrel jail, justice.
Countless discounts. Now that's progressive. Call or click today.
Thinking about a new appliance or an LCD TV? Don't think twice, think Weiss. Weiss True Value has a full line of LCD TVs plus a great variety of appliances. And of course, hardware items like TrueTest paints, Master Mechanic tools, electrical supplies, key duplicating, and Rug Doctor rentals. And for repairs on screens and windows, look no further. Weiss True Value, from making keys to selling appliances and LCD TVs. Don't think twice, think Weiss. 39 West Broad Street, Paulsboro.
For everything, there's a season, and a time for everything under heaven. A time for sharing, a time for caring, a time for remembering, and a time for parting. When that time arrives, let Beth McBride Foley and Thomas D. Foley at the McBride Foley Funeral Home help you in your time of need. Offering a wide variety of funeral services from cremation to traditional, McBride Foley Funeral Home has been helping families with the loss of a loved one with over 50 years of combined service. McBride Foley Funeral Home, 228 West Broad Street, Paulsboro.
And welcome back. It's time for an update from Mayor Gary Stevenson. And he has had a busy time since we last taped, but a lot of good news. And of course, we always talk about good things because that's where momentum comes from, building on the assets and building on momentum. And Mayor, welcome.
Thank you, John.
You got a big project coming up.
Big project, Thompson Avenue. Finally, after I lived on there since 1962, it all flooded, cracked, broken. Thompson Avenue. We started preliminary work. Contracts were awarded. And November the 1st, finally, an excavator will be on that street digging up the stormwater lines, starting from Elizabeth, working all the way down to the creek. Wood Street is part of that $7 million project. And the first thing we're going to do, which is the most important thing on that street, is digging up the 18-inch storm drain down to the creek and putting almost a 40-inch one in place of it. So we'll carry plenty of water where Paul Avenue won't have 7 feet of water every time it rains, and it just cracks the street and everything else. So Thompson Avenue's on its way.
Gary, that's a big number, $7 million. I know internally you worked hard there's some grant money associated with it, but you're making an investment as well.
Yeah, the USDA, EDA, all those groups that come and help us out. At $7 million, it's about a 60-40% grant versus what we have to pay ratio, but at least we don't have to foot the whole $7 million. There was a lot of work with my administrator to get it done, but after all these years, Thompson Avenue's finally being done.
You're probably going to affect property values because some of those houses were assessed for lakefront property during certain times of the year. So it's probably going to have to be an adjustment.
Yes.
It's hard to believe, but that's what it costs today, $7 million.
$7 million to do all that work, and then we're going to pave it and put all new sewer lines in there as well. It's a complete, total dig up. It's not just a drop a pipe and overlay. It's a complete, total dig up.
It's really going to be a big, impactful project. Also, Delaware Street and other buildings down, that's always a sign of progress.
And that's, in a lot of these areas, we have to tear down before we build up. And throughout town, we have a lot. We just tore another one down on Delaware Street. We're hoping to have a lot more torn down. Later this month, we're going to hit a big home in another section of town that we have money put away for. That's been an abandoned nuisance for years or so. People are seeing the progress. It's slow, a little slower than I like it to be, but the progress is happening.
And sometimes, especially when you're dealing with taking properties to tear them down, it just doesn't happen with a snap of a finger. Everyone was real excited. The Save-A-Lot store's operating. The plaza itself, the balance of that work seems to be dragging.
Yes, we're working with the developer, Mr. English. Trust me, I'm on the phone with him weekly, meeting with him, giving him heck about it, that we need to get that demolition of the old Grant store done, the old Rita's out front done, the parking lot, so help save a lot more, get better lighting. It's all coming, and the big news is, hopefully, it's almost like 98% done. The Dollar Tree is going to come in right next to the Save-A-Lot by the end of the year.
Going to be a nice 1-2 punch there.
Anchor store for it.
Very much so. That's an update from Mayor Gary Stevenson. A lot in the works, a lot more to come. The Mayor will be on with us on a regular basis as the show progresses, and we'll slowly get caught up with stuff as these episodes unfold. Stay with us. We're coming right back with the only reason we do the show, which is Community Notes with Irma Stevenson. We'll be right back. Gary, can you find your mother? She's here somewhere. Yeah.
Life is a journey that we travel with a lot of uncertainty. When your family is faced with change and you're in need of understanding, direction, honesty, and professionalism, we at the Landolfi Funeral Home have a tradition of assisting you with all of your needs in any way that we can. We offer many affordable funeral services. Please feel free to call us with any questions you may have or visit us at www.landolfifuneralhome.com.
Rizzo Family Chiropractic Center in Gibbstown offers pain relief with a difference. Using specific chiropractic adjustments, Rizzo Family Chiropractic will get to the root of your problem quickly. Bring your headaches, neck, back, joint, or limb pain to Dr. Karen Rizzo. If you have recurring pain, chiropractic can help. Rizzo Family Chiropractic can relieve many sources of pain without extended treatment and ongoing therapy. Give your family the gift of caring professional pain relief with a difference. Rizzo Family Chiropractic.
Come on down Route 55 to the Millville Airport. Visit Smith & Jackson Military Antiques and Firearms, a gun shop with a woman's touch. Buying, selling, and trading firearms and military items, especially seeking World War II, German, Japanese, and American items. Buying single items or entire collections. That's Smith & Jackson Military Antiques and Firearms at the Millville Airport, 21 Peterson Street, next to the Glasstown Brewing Company.
And welcome back. It's time for Community Notes with Irma Stevenson, which frankly was one of the few reasons we started the show 29 years ago. But Irma, before you work from the list, did want to mention, and I was remiss when the mayor was with us, both the Chamber of Commerce and Mayor Stevenson teamed up for a breakfast meeting at the municipal building. They do it at least once, twice a year, get everybody in the room, always well attended, and the mayor gives his update to the business community, and he gets feedback from those doing business in town in the immediate environs. For time well spent. Judy McKenzie, who's president of the Chamber of Commerce, was kind enough to supply us with some footage and pictures so you could see what that morning was. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. I was in a different place, or I would have been there in support of the mayor of the Chamber, but 8 o'clock comes early, and you can only be in one place. Irma, how about the list?
John, I have a special happy birthday. My number one mother, Irma Candle, a.k.a. the Streetwalker, 97. She's now at Shady Lane. And, oh, my goodness, everybody was there. And she was serving her cake and her, you know, she is the queen over there. And they take such good care of my mother. And she takes good care of them, too, John.
No doubt.
Yeah. Happy birthdays also to Trevor Suter, Harry Llewellyn III, Dana Weaver O'Mara, Patrick McMonagle, Glenn Jones Jr., Patty Hurst, Nick Leparati, Chip Gers, Billy Bramwell Sr., Steve Clement, Rachel Coco, Dr. Walter Quinn, Joe Kniestout, Anthony Kniestout, Don Muskrat Myers, John. Muskrat, that's a river name, you know that. Colin Llewellyn, Tanner Stevenson Hamilton, our dear friend Elwood Hampton, Steve Clement, Willie Bay, Nancy Carson, and Kevin Harvey. Happy anniversaries to Judy and Fred Suter, May and Arnie Suter, Barbara and Pud Bitters, Stephanie and Chris.
Wait, who was that?
Pud, my cousin.
Okay.
We call him Pud. He's like a little pudding. Stephanie and Chris Hamilton, Kenny and Margie Emmerich, Dr. Walter and Cindy Quinn, George and Carol King, Barry and Angela Cordetti, and Anthony and Lil Alvarado. Happy anniversaries and happy birthdays, George.
Good list, Irma. Good list.
St. Paul's United Methodist Church right here on the corner of Broad and Delaware. Saturday, November 18th, they're having a fall festival craft show. Crafts, food from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Please come and celebrate with our new minister. We have Pastor and I, great guy, and great food and crafts. And also St. Paul's United Methodist Church on November the 4th at 5 p.m. will now be having once church services in Spanish. Call 856-423-00 for more information. Our new minister is from Cuba, John, and the stories he has initiating his church, the Methodist Church in Cuba, are unbelievable.
Anxious to have him on to talk about that, Irma.
Right. It's time for our Paulsboro Junior Wrestling program, John. Paulsboro Gibbstown residents, the first day of practice is Monday, November 27th. Tots 5-6, Bantam 7-8, Midgets 9-10, and Junior High 11-14. Registrations November 8th and 9th from 6p to 8p down at 541 C Manchu Avenue, which is a wrestling building next to the Hometown Deli. $20 registration fee. Contact Jerry Cosgrove, 908-209-1587. Bring your birth certificate or Paul Marina, 856-49-4629. John, we're going to have another good wrestling team. And don't forget, Dr. Blaze Gadowski, oh my goodness, whatever.
Real good guy.
Right. This year's event will be held on Saturday, November the 18th. It's a very special day. It's the 20th year of this annual event, which will benefit the Paulsboro Gibbstown Food Bank. It will be held in his office here in Gibbstown at 360 East Broad Street. He's giving free therapeutic massages, health evaluation, fitness evaluation, blood pressures. And they ask for an exchange for money for your donation of non-perishable food. Please call 423-43899, food and refreshments. And he's done this. He's a great guy, great doctor, and I wonder who's getting massages, John.
I have no comment on massages or what occurs, but Dr. Blaze, really good guy, and is very passionate about this food bank. So if you haven't visited with him, it's a good stop, and it's a very good cause. Irma, we have footage on the Paulsboro High School Sports Hall of Fame, which you're one of the chair people. We're going to hold that back to the next show just to work it in.
Wonderful night.
It was
another Red Raider night.
It was a great night, and it was tied in with Homecoming Weekend and Spirit Week, and I think there were 3 or 4 classes. I'm going to look over at Gary, at least 3 classes that were holding homecomings, class reunions tied in with the homecoming weekend. So there was just a lot of people around. It was a lot of fun. So we're going to have to work that into the next show.
My great class of 57, John, 60 years, class of 72, and Gary's class of 77. We walked in the parade. Andre Bay and I carried our banner, flag with the Pegasus, and Gary's class was behind us in 72. And we all ended up at the mayor's house that night. Old jukebox, a couple of our guys, the Bay brothers, did ham bones, and it was a wonderful fellowship and love of Paulsboro High School, 100 years, and the other high schools have gone and regionalized. We're still there.
Well, that's what a small town's about, and it had that kind of feel and a very successful feel. And I think that's going to do it. I'm looking at Fred. We may go out with some footage, a little bit of a tease of Paulsboro Day. We're going to have more of that on the next show because we have so much of it. As I mentioned, Judy and Amy shot a lot of stuff. So for Bill Crane, our producer, who couldn't be with us, for Fred Bookter behind the camera, for Amy Cook, who's off location today, Irma.
See you on Broad Street and go Big Red.
Until next time.